Hey, it's your boy, the Casual King MMA, and we already know what time it is. It's JDM time, baby. JDM versus Carlos Prates. We have a fire main event on our hands. UFC really went all out in Australia. A lot of Australian fighters, and it's a great card. You do have Tai Tuivasa on the main card, but it's Australia. It could be fun, and at the end of the day, this is an entertainment industry more than it is a sport. It is more about having fun than it is about having the best fighters in the world. The UFC has the best fighters in the world. I got in trouble last time I said this. Besides the point, this is about having fun. UFC is giving the Australian fans what they deserve. First interesting point is we already can see that Australia has way more talent than Canada based on this card actually being good. Other interesting thing to note, this card is actually on Australia time. I'm in the West Coast and the main card starts at like 5 a.m. and it's not going to be a card I watch live. Some people are going to be bothered by that. US is the main audience for the UFC, and they feel like the UFC card should always be on US time. You had champion Leon Edwards fighting at like 3 a.m. in front of the UK crowd, so that a sold out UK crowd, so that us Americans could watch the fight at normal time. And while that does make me feel super patriotic, it's not what's best for the UFC. The UFC, since they've made the deal with Paramount, has moved away from the pay-per-view model. The pay-per-view model was the reason why that pay-per-views are always on US time. Americans are the one paying for the pay-per-view. Therefore, it's going to be on US time, and we're the main audience involved. However, the UFC have been interested in an international audience for a very long time. UFC Noche was a massive card, free card, with a title fight on it, with a female title fight on it. And I know Shevchenko Grasso isn't like world stopping, but it shows that when pay-per-views weren't the main sticking point, the UFC would go all out for these other audiences. And it makes sense why. The UFC is an international sport, and you want to have fighters from all over the world. We can't just have Americans and Brazilians. And I know people like Brazilians will fight for a lot less money. Same thing for the Dagestanis. They'll fight for a lot less money, which I imagine Dana White likes. There are some audiences we need to crack into. Like UFC China cards. There are so many people on earth. There are so many potential fighters. The more fighters, the better. And there's no reason to limit your market. Dana has cared a lot about growing the UFC market. There's a reason why, we did the UFC Noche card. And there's a reasons why we as in the UFC, will spend a lot of money on building these performance institutes all around the globe. Specifically in Mexico, they're spending millions and millions of dollars building these institutes, because with these institutes, people will be able to train and the UFC will be able to get high-end talent from all around the world. However, it doesn't just take the institutes. You need to have fighters, you need to have cards, you need to have excitement in these countries. How do you turn Mexico away from boxing? We got Brandon Moreno, we got Alexa Grasso, we got big Mexican fighters. We're going to have a card celebrating them for the Mexicans, and they're going to tune in, they're going to be entertained, and they're going to want to be that next guy. Adesanya was watching the UFC in the nosebleeds. These guys grow up watching it. We have a future generation of UFC fighters that grew up watching and training MMA from a young age. The sports, there's a limitless ability for how good the sport can get. You're going to have these freak athletes training from a young age, well-rounded, putting on fantastic fights. People love Volk Islam, and Volk didn't start training till 23. He was a freaking rugby guy. The sky's the limit for this sport, and I think that a part of this is putting the UFC cards on the time of the people watching. Pay-per-views are no longer a problem now. These fights are free. People can watch them later if there's a good fight. And what's important is growing the audience. What's important is getting the next, Conor McGregor, Adesanya, Volkanovski, Tom Aspinall, getting that next guy, Alex Pay, getting that next guy, because the US doesn't rally around their guys like the international community does. The UFC love how the international community rallies around their guys. There's a reason why they give these guys chances. I mean, the closest thing the U.S. has to a community is the wrestling community, which is why Bo Nickel gets the pushes he does. But that's the point. The UFC wants to push these guys. They want to grow their audience, and they want more people watching and training the sport. And as a UFC fan, it's going to pay dividends. So I'm okay not watching JDM Prates, a fight I'm very excited to live. I'm okay trying not to spoil myself, going through no commercials, fight after fight. It's going to take like 3 hours. It's going to be fucking awesome. I'm excited to do that, and you should be too. Peace.